Hi everybody, welcome to this week's Family Conversation. What we've been doing over the last couple weeks is just having somebody in from the community that we're profiling this week, and this week it's Tim and Charlotte's community. And so we have Oliver here in the garage studio. So Oliver, tell us about yourself. How did you end up at Every Nation?
Hey everybody. Yeah, I came to Every Nation I think just about a year ago. I'm part of Tim and Charlotte's group, obviously, and Tim introduced me to the church, and I was a part of Tim's Bible study group for a good amount of time, and then eventually I branched off, and then we have our own Bible study group now based in Ladner. So that's kind of how things have been working. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
Tim, multiplying disciples.
He is. Yeah.
Okay, this is your chance to tell us how you all feel about Tim. So
No, great guy. Yeah, great guy.
that's the right answer. So something I've noticed about you, Oliver, is that you're like a huge keener.
Yes, I am.
And you joined the church. Joined the church like a year ago, and then you're just at everything. Like, I think you're there at 7 a.m. every time, to set up, or it seems like.
Yeah.
And then you seem to be in all these community groups and all these D groups, and then you magically appeared in my transformations group.
That's right.
This last time, I'm like, oh, hi, Oliver. I guess you're in my group. Great, you're here too.
Yeah.
It was this huge keener, and it's really appreciated. It's been inspiring, and I don't know, just something I've noticed about you.
Cool. Yeah. No, I've been doing a lot of things, especially before this whole COVID thing has been happening. I've just been constantly, night after night. It's 7 o'clock to 4:30 at work, and then activities in the evening.
Yeah.
So it's
small groups.
Small groups,
courses.
and other groups I'm doing, and just sound practice and all this other stuff.
Just
right?
giving back.
It's question myself, should I be doing this?
Well, so that's interesting then. So then what, obviously none of that stuff exists, or at least in the same way that it did.
Yeah. Not in
So
the
what
same
has
way.
that done for somebody that is a keener, wants to be at everything with, I don't know, I've just really appreciated your heart, but
Yeah.
as those things have dissipated, what has that caused? I can imagine that being a tension-filled thing for you.
Oh man, it's been at first actually I thought this is gonna be nice. I'm not gonna have to do that much, and everything was okay, we'll see how this goes. But eventually, it came to the point where I was no, I like doing these things. This is something it keeps me going. It gives me energy.
Sure, yeah.
I just loved it. It wasn't something and it's obviously just being with people and just having to do things, and I just felt good. I'm building God's kingdom here, right? And I'm just going forward, but that's all I was doing in that sense. But all I was doing was just activities and work to. So yeah.
Did the busyness have a downside then?
It did, because at first, starting that routine, it was really good, and I'm just I'm doing so many good things. This is awesome. Came to the point though where you're just so tired, and you're just man, what am I doing all these things for? But you're just no, I gotta keep going. This is what I gotta do.
Right.
And eventually I just realized I'm just tired. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just really exhausting.
What do you think that what did it block? What are the things that it's...
Well, I just, it really, for example, I just did not spend, quality time, doing things for myself, or, even, spending time with God, for an example. It just wasn't, a thing. It was I'm doing these good things, and that, to me was enough. I'd have my little time at night before I go to bed, but it wasn't, quality time. It was just, for me, the basis was these activities.
What it makes me think of is that your activity is not a guarantee of a healthy heart.
It's not.
And you could be doing all these different things, but we all know the difference between activity as a way of, maybe masking what's going on in our heart, or... it can actually be really distracting from the main point.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is that something you've experienced?
No, 100%. And, I realized too, it has been something I've been using to mask other things in my life. Now that I have this time, I realize, things come up to process or something that make me feel really uncomfortable, and I'm just and not having these things to do, constantly keeping myself busy. I'm actually dealing with them now. Yeah. It's just oh no, why?
I can't distract myself.
Yeah, I can't distract myself anymore. It's just they're right in front of me. It kind of brings me to that whole point of David, right? He. In a different sense, he didn't have the coronavirus in that time, but it was when he did this thing with Bathsheba, right? He fell into sin, this king, and he was a man after God's own heart, right? I just always think about that. I'm man, how did he slip?
The kings are doing all the right things.
Yeah, they're all doing the right things, and it's he's always told, as the guy's after God's own heart. So I'm just man, this guy's a legit guy, but you see him slip, just like any of us can, and Nathan comes to him and confronts him with the sin. And it's just like, yo, this is what you did, and like you gotta confess. And I felt the similar thing. Like I was just doing all these things, and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing a good thing. And I'm just like, now I'm confronted with this, and I'm confronted with a lot of other things, and I'm like, you know, I have to confess to these things, but I also have to process these things too, right? Yeah. And like just like David, like he you know, he went to God and just confessed. He was just like, he was sorry. Yeah. And I felt the same like heart, and I mean that comes So
it's like COVID-19 was your Nathan.
That's exactly. COVID-19 was my Nathan. Yeah. So it's
that unhealthy heart, that low-lying thing.
Yeah.
That it's actually amazing it's amazing to see how quickly sin actually slips in to activity is no guarantee of like an affection for God.
No.
And it can be like activity is not the enemy, but it's also not the solution. And so if we don't have if we're not doing those things of an affection, other affections really tend to creep in. Yeah, I find. And so I don't know. What has this realization sort of done for you in this time? Like how has it been a gift?
You know, it's softened my heart like 100%. Like it's really stripped me of all these things, and it really has like it hurt. I tell you, like it hurt for the first while because it's like, you know, this is what it's just like you can't control it. Like I can't like control now doing anything else with my activities. So it's really just brought me to the point. And at first, like the first few weeks, I was like, what's going on? Like I just feel like there's this pain in my heart. But I realized God was softening my heart during this time. It was just like this pain was actually like doing me good, and I just didn't realize it till like a certain point where like my heart was soft, and I just felt, oh man, I just missed the complete point of this. So it's really brought me,
softening hearts. I think it's not a fun experience, is it? It's like a potato masher or something.
Yeah, it's like something like that.
It seems to me that God really goes to great lengths to soften our hearts.
Does he?
And I don't know, why do you think that is? Like, okay, so perhaps people don't find themselves in the exact same shoes as you.
Sure.
It's not really about that. Whether you find yourself busy or not busy.
Sure.
Whether you find yourself, really affected by the state of the world, or things feel normal, or whatever. I think that we can all resonate with this idea that sometimes the kingdoms that we build, be it religious activity, be it rebellion, like the opposite, of whatever it is that you were doing. Like, be it, I'm not going to do any of that stuff. Like, nobody controls me. I'm not going to serve. Like, but we eventually, our kingdoms, whether they're religious or rebellious, all come crumbling down. And it seems as like you're describing the crumbling of your,
of my kingdom,
of your little religious kingdom that was mostly a distraction from the wickedness of your own heart. No offense.
Right. No,
I only say that because I'm guilty of the exact same thing. Yeah. I find religious activity to be one of the most helpful things for not confronting the wickedness of my own heart. Yeah. It works wonders.
It does,
because you just look and go, well, look at all these things I've done. My heart can't possibly be evil. Yeah. And then I find my I find my affections slip, and so, I think we can all resonate with this idea that God goes to great lengths to soften our hearts, which to me is just kind of another way of seeing our kingdoms crumbling. If you were to tell our church, if for those of us that resonate with a heart softening in this time, going, I feel beat up. My kingdom feels like it's crumbling a little bit. Maybe some of us feel as though there's a bit of a why God. And there's probably a week or two in there that you've described in your blurb where it's just like, why is this happening? Why are these relationships difficult? Why does why would a loving God be so determined to soften our hearts?
Well, what I've come to is that it's humility. It really is. It's God is so desperate for us. Like he'll bring us down to that point to humble us and then make us realize and help us to see, like, it's the relationship aspect of this. It's not the good works you can do. You can do as many good things as you want, but really it's the relationship aspect. And I think the softening it's about humility. Like we need humility. It's the basis of our relationships. It is.
I would agree with you. I care a ton about humility. Yeah. I think I'm deeply fascinated by the concept of humility. Philippians 2 is my favorite. If you guys want a Bible verse to look up, Philippians 2 is my favorite chapter in the whole Bible. And I find it so intriguing that God seems to make the whole plan humility somehow.
Totally.
And I find it pretty insulting. Yeah. It's just like sometimes it's not my favorite plan.
No.
But would you so the big question then for you then is it worth it? Is the humbling of your heart, like, what have you gained from it? Is is the softening of your heart worth it for those who are wrestling in that place with whether it is or not?
It is. It really, as much as like this good feeling you can have like being busy or whatever, it really brings you to like a real rest, and like you just really feel yourself like being more at peace and like rest, enjoying things. Like you're more grateful in general. Like you just realize like, oh my goodness, I have so much. Like, and He's been doing like good things. Like it does suck for the time that it hurts, but really in the end, it's just like, oh, you know what? I have so much here, and like God's really showing me like I'm blessed, and like I just can actually like focus now on like, whoa, I can actually spend time with God like alone, like not having to do other things and just having this little part at night. But it's good. I like it, and so I just feel we gotta stop being proud. we have to be humble. Like, this is like, and it's easy enough to say, but like this is what will do it. Like something like coronavirus, I guess, and it's something that we need.
God works in mysterious ways, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, Oliver, I really appreciate your insights, and I think that I think you are a really humble guy.
Oh, thanks.
And the way that you serve our church is really exemplary, and it's evident to I know to a lot of people seeing you do it. It's really encouraged me. So I don't want to belittle all the things that you do, because I've found them to be super encouraging, and I think you've executed yourself in our church for the short time that you've been around with a ton of humility humble hearts really are the building blocks of communities and relationships. And so I appreciate your transparency with what's really going on inside your heart. And it's funny how I think that sometimes when people have a realization about themselves, like, wow, I feel proud and humble, the people that hear that go, really, I kind of pegged you for a pretty humble person off the top. Like, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but people tend to go, man, I'm just, the most generous people in the whole world, for instance, are being like, you know what? I feel really greedy right now. And you look at them going, oh my goodness, like I would call you generous, but it's just because that's the call on their life. Yeah. Like their call on their life is to be generous. So any ounce of greed just goes, And so for you, I think that you have an extremely humble servant heart, and any ounce of pride or striving or doing it for yourself probably bubbles up in a way that's more palpable than most, because that's probably what you've been called to. So I don't know, as an encouragement.
It's encouraging.
But I'd love to just pray for you as you go.
Let's do that.
Father, thank you for Oliver and for his transparency and all you've been doing in this season. And I just ask that you would teach him what it means to be a humble man who has open hands to receive what you would have. And Father, I pray that what you give him most is an intimate relationship with you, one that brings peace and one that finds his rest in you. And Father, I pray that you would turn all of his servant-heartedness and acts of service, when all those things get rolling again, God willing. I pray that you would turn those into expressions of his affection for you and nothing more. That they would just be an overflow of the humility that you've given him as a gift, and that he would imitate your humility in his service, because he just loves others so well. So I pray that would be his calling card as a child of God, and I ask that you'd use him to build your kingdom. I'd ask him that you'd use him in ways to bless our church even more than you already have. And would you comfort him in this time? And thank you for calling him out on his pride. And I pray that you would meet it with your grace and with your presence. And thank you for his vulnerability and the way that it blesses us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Yeah, thanks for being here. This was fun.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
It's phase 2. Phase 2 fist bump.
I don't know what the phases mean.
Oh.